Katie Porter burst onto the national stage as a progressive fighter, quickly earning a reputation for her relentless questioning and sharp intellect. Her approach was refreshingly direct, and she became known for holding powerful interests accountable in a way that resonated with everyday Americans. Wielding her now iconic whiteboard, Porter exposed corporate greed and government failures in Congress, breaking down complex issues for the public to understand. Her visual, no-nonsense style made her a viral sensation and a symbol of transparency in government. Before her political career, Porter was a respected law professor and consumer advocate, deeply influenced by her mentor Elizabeth Warren. This background gave her a unique perspective on policy and a passion for protecting families from predatory practices, which made her a rising star among Democrats. Porter's victories in a traditionally Republican Orange County district signaled a seismic shift in suburban politics. Her ability to connect with voters on real issues, like healthcare, housing, and education, showcased her authenticity and helped her build a broad coalition of support. Viral committee hearings, where she fearlessly interrogated CEOs and government officials, cemented her image as a fearless interrogator. These moments not only captured the public's imagination, but also laid the groundwork for her higher political ambitions. After a tough and closely watched Senate primary loss to Adam Schiff in 2024, Porter refused to fade from the spotlight. Instead, she set her sights on the California governorship, determined to bring her progressive vision to the state's highest office. Her supporters saw her as the no-nonsense progressive California needed, someone unafraid to challenge the status quo. But the statewide campaign would test her ability to appeal beyond her loyal base and reach voters from all walks of life. As she transitioned from Congress to a gubernatorial run, Porter's fighter persona, so effective in congressional hearings, began to generate friction on the campaign trail. The intensity that made her a star in Washington sometimes clashed with the demands of building consensus across California's diverse electorate. The very qualities that made her a hero to progressives, her bluntness, her refusal to back down, now risked alienating moderates and independents. Some voters admired her tenacity, while others questioned whether she could unite such a vast and varied state. Early in her campaign, a series of jarring incidents and public missteps raised doubts about whether Porter could adapt to the demands of leading a state as complex as California. Critics wondered if her confrontational style would translate into effective governance. The stage was set for a high-stakes battle, not just for the governorship, but for the very soul of California's Democratic Party. Porter's campaign would become a test of whether bold progressivism could win statewide in America's most populous state. Would the fighter from Orange County rise to the challenge and redefine California politics? Or would her greatest strengths become her most significant liabilities on the biggest stage of her career? The first major stumble in Porter's campaign came during what should have been a routine CBS News interview. The stage was set for a straightforward conversation, but what unfolded would become a defining moment in her run for office. Asked how she'd win over Republican voters, Porter's irritation was palpable. Her friendly demeanor vanished, replaced by visible agitation. The tension in the studio was unmistakable, as viewers watched her struggle to maintain composure under the bright lights and pointed questions. Instead of a unifying message, she challenged the premise, even threatening to walk out. Her response was sharp, and the exchange quickly escalated, leaving the interviewer and audience stunned by her combative tone. The viral clip shocked viewers and fueled criticism of her temperament. Social media exploded with reactions, as clips of the interview circulated widely, sparking heated debates about her fitness for higher office. For someone known for composure under pressure, the meltdown was jarring and damaging. Supporters who once praised her poise now questioned whether she could handle the relentless scrutiny of a statewide campaign. Critics called her aggressive and rude, questioning her readiness to govern California. Pundits dissected every moment, analyzing her body language and word choice, while headlines blared about her temperament problem. The incident gave opponents ammunition and raised doubts about her ability to build the broad coalition needed to win. Rival campaigns wasted no time, seizing on the moment to paint her as divisive and unapproachable. Dismissing a question about reaching out to Republicans wasn't just a gaffe, it was bad politics. In a state as diverse as California, the ability to connect across party lines is crucial, and her reaction suggested a troubling lack of flexibility. The interview became a symbol of her struggle to transition from congressional fighter to statewide leader. It highlighted the challenges she faced in adapting her combative style to a broader, more demanding audience. It forced a reevaluation. Were her strengths in Congress now liabilities on the campaign trail? Her team scrambled to contain the fallout, holding emergency meetings and rethinking their strategy. The first cracks in her candidacy had appeared, and the scrutiny was only beginning. As the headlines multiplied and the pressure mounted, Porter faced the toughest test of her political career yet. As the CBS interview controversy simmered, a damaging video from Porter's past surfaced online. The clip showed her berating staff over virtual event lighting, her tone sharp and demanding. It offered visual proof of rumors about her being a difficult boss, painting a picture of a leader more focused on her own image than team morale. The timing was brutal. Just as her campaign tried to recover, the video reinforced a narrative of a toxic work environment. Critics argued that how a leader treats their staff reveals true character. The incident compounded doubts about her temperament and fitness for executive office. Instead of promoting her vision for California, Porter's team was now mired in crisis management. The video shifted the conversation from a single misstep to a pattern of abrasive behavior. Amid mounting controversies, Porter ignited a new firestorm by claiming her 2024 Senate primary was rigged by special interest money, especially from the crypto industry. The word rigged carried explosive weight, echoing rhetoric her party had long fought against. Critics accused her of hypocrisy and undermining trust in elections. The backlash was swift. Democrats and commentators alike condemned her choice of words. Porter's attempt to clarify that she meant the influence of money in politics, not fraud, fell flat. The damage was done. Headlines blared. Katie Porter claims election was rigged. This wasn't a spontaneous outburst. It was a deliberate, damaging choice. The incident raised serious questions about her political judgment and alienated allies. Porter's campaign now faced a crisis not just of image, but of credibility. The controversies surrounding Katie Porter ignited a fierce and passionate debate across the entire political spectrum, drawing in voices from all sides and backgrounds. The story quickly became a lightning rod for national attention, with supporters and detractors weighing in on television, online, and in print. Critics, ranging from Fox News commentators to Democratic centrists like Anthony Scaramucci, openly questioned Porter's judgment and warned that her outspoken behavior could damage the party's brand and alienate moderate voters. Some accused her of being reckless, while others suggested she was simply too polarizing for the national stage. The crypto community, in particular, labeled her an enemy of innovation, arguing that her skepticism toward digital currencies was out of touch with technological progress. On social media, some critics even accused her of self-sabotage, saying she was undermining her own career. Supporters, however, pushed back hard. They argued the backlash was not only overblown, but also orchestrated by political rivals and powerful corporate interests threatened by her advocacy. Many saw the criticism as a coordinated attempt to silence a bold voice for reform. To her base, Porter's fighter persona was an asset, not a flaw. They admired her willingness to challenge the status quo and her refusal to play by the usual political rules, seeing her as a rare politician who put principle over popularity. Her defenders pointed to her impressive legislative record and tireless consumer advocacy as clear evidence of her fitness for office. They highlighted her efforts to hold powerful interests accountable and her commitment to transparency. Many argued that the focus on her tone and style was a distraction from the real substantive issues at stake, issues like economic justice, healthcare, and corporate accountability. Some supporters went further, claiming that much of the criticism Porter faced was rooted in double standards often applied to strong, outspoken women in politics. They pointed out that similar behavior from male politicians rarely drew the same level of scrutiny. As the debate raged on, it became less about policy differences and more about personality, gender, and the very nature of political leadership in America today. The conversation shifted to what qualities voters truly value in their leaders. In the end, Porter's campaign was now defined as much by controversy and heated debate as by her progressive vision and policy proposals, leaving voters to decide what kind of leadership they wanted for the future. The string of public missteps forced a harsh reassessment of Porter's campaign strategy. Her team's sudden silence on social media signaled crisis mode, ceding control of the narrative to critics. The plan to scale up her congressional fighter persona for a statewide race now looked risky. California's governorship demands more than confrontation. It requires coalition building and diplomacy. The campaign faced a choice: double down on the fighter image or attempt a pivot to a more unifying style. Repeated missteps suggested weaknesses in her inner circle and crisis management. Rivals now had a clear line of attack. Porter was too divisive and risky. What began as a promising campaign was now on the defensive, struggling to redefine its candidate. The question of electability loomed larger than ever. The criticism of Porter can't be separated from the question of gender. Women in politics are often labeled abrasive or unlikable for traits praised in men. Supporters argue Porter faces a double standard, her toughness seen as a flaw, not a strength. They point to male politicians whose confrontational styles are celebrated, not condemned. Critics counter that her actions, threatening to walk out using rigged, berating staff, would be problematic for anyone. The debate exposes the narrow tightrope female leaders must walk. Is Porter a victim of bias or simply a flawed candidate? The answer, as always, is complicated. Porter's recent controversies have left voters confused about who she really is. The calm, data-driven lawmaker seems at odds with the agitated candidate seen in viral clips. Is her fighter persona authentic, or is it cracking under pressure? Some say she's struggling to shift from legislative warrior to executive consensus builder. Others believe the real Porter is finally emerging, relentless, effective in hearings, but abrasive elsewhere. The public craves simple narratives, but Porter defies easy categorization. Voters are left wondering which version would show up as governor, the policy expert, or the temperamental boss. This uncertainty may be her campaign's biggest obstacle. Porter stands at a crossroads. Her next moves will determine her political future. To recover, she must confront controversies head-on, show humility, and reset her campaign. She faces a choice: double down on her fighter brand or pivot to a more unifying style, each with risks. The coming months will test her resilience and adaptability. This chapter could end her ambitions or forge her into a stronger candidate. Political careers are full of comebacks and collapses. Porter's response to this crisis will define her legacy. California and the nation will be watching.